So try and picture this for a moment. An ancient community, right,
Mm-hmm.
built on these really deep spiritual ideas, but also dealing with very real, very human problems.
Yeah, practical stuff. Like, how do you actually run a spiritual order,
Yeah,
especially back then?
exactly. Especially with people coming from, all walks of life, all trying to follow this, well, this strict code.
It's a huge question, and that's what we're diving into today, isn't it? These practical rules for the early Buddhist nuns, the Bhikkhunis.
That's the plan. Our sources for this deep dive are specific bits from the Pācittiya rules, numbers 61 through 70.
And these aren't just like philosophical points or vague ideas. They're about actual offenses, things you could do wrong, and importantly, the consequences.
Right. So our mission here is to unpack these specific rules. What kinds of challenges were they actually facing on the ground?
What was the thinking, the sort of practical wisdom behind these regulations?
And what does it all tell us about setting up and, well, governing this monastic order for women?
Yeah. Oh, and Pācittiya, just so we're clear, that word itself means an offense that requires expiation, making amends. It was pretty serious.
Okay, serious stuff indeed. Let's get into it. First section, guarding the gate. Who can be ordained as a bhikkhuni?
Right. Because ordination, that act of joining, was absolutely central.
But it wasn't an open door.
Wow.
Far from it. Not everyone was considered, well, suitable. And the reasons were very practical, very human.
Definitely. And this first set of rules, Pācittiya 61 and 62, they really hammer home how important public perception was.
Ah, the public eye. So what's the first case?
It involves pregnant women. So the scenario described is that some early nuns ordained a woman who was, well, obviously pregnant.
Right.
And when she went out for alms, people started talking. They'd say things like, "Give alms to the venerable lady. She is heavy with child."
Which you can imagine didn't look great for the monastic community. It led to criticism.
Exactly. So the Buddha steps in, reprimands the nuns who did the ordaining, and sets down a rule. You cannot ordain a pregnant woman.
And their consequence.
A Pācittiya offense for the ordaining nun, the upajjhaya. But, and this is interesting, only if she knew the woman was pregnant.
Ah, so there's nuance. What if she wasn't sure?
If she was doubtful or genuinely believed she wasn't pregnant, it was a lesser offense, a dukkata. So intent mattered.
Fascinating. And the next rule, 62, is similar.
Very similar, yeah. This time it's about nursing mothers. Same kind of public reaction. People saw a newly ordained nun with her child and said, "Give alms to the venerable lady, she has a companion."
Referring to the baby, of course.
Right. And the text specifies payanti, which means a mother or even a wet nurse. Ordaining a nursing mother, again, a Pācittiya offense.
So taking these two together, Pācittiya 61 and 62,
Yeah.
what's the main takeaway?
It really seems to be about, well, two things. First, the community's reputation and how it was perceived by lay society. That was clearly important.
And second,
The sheer practical difficulty. How could someone fully commit to the rigorous monastic life, the schedule, the practices, while pregnant or caring for an infant?
it's about focus, maybe, and the integrity of the community's purpose. Very pragmatic.
Incredibly pragmatic. Okay, so that's about physical condition related to motherhood. What about age and general resilience?
Good question. That brings us to Pācittiya 65, which deals with ordaining underage former laywomen.
Right. The term used is gigeta, someone from a lay background who was yunadadasavasa, under 12 years old.
And what was the issue there?
The texts are incredibly explicit about this. They state these young individuals were incapable of enduring cold, heat, hunger, thirst.
Wow, they list specifics.
Oh, yeah. Contact with stinging insects, winds, sun, creeping things, harsh, ill-spoken words, and physical pains. Basically, the tough life of a monastic.
They just couldn't handle it, physically or emotionally.
Exactly. And what's striking is the benchmark. The rule clearly states that a 12-year-old, zavadasavasa, is considered capable of enduring these things.
So 12 was the line. Ordaining someone under 12 from lay life.
That incurred a Pācittiya. It's fascinating, isn't it? That precise age, that detailed list of hardships.
It shows such a grounded understanding of human development and what their demanding lifestyle actually involved. Not just spiritual readiness, but fundamental resilience.
Absolutely, a very practical assessment of readiness.
Okay, so age is a factor. What about the actual process? Training, approval. That seems crucial too.
Hugely crucial. This leads us into a series of rules 63, 64, 66, and 67, all about the necessary training and formal community approval. Let's start with the training requirement.
The core idea seems to be 2 years of training in 6 specific rules.
Yes, Pācittiya 63 deals with ordaining a sikamana, that's a trainee nun, who hadn't done her 2 years of training in these 6 key rules.
And the result.
They were described as being foolish and ignorant, essentially not knowing right conduct from wrong. They lacked the foundation.
And what were those 6 rules? They must have been important.
Fundamental. Abstinence from taking life, stealing, unchastity, false speech, taking intoxicating drinks or drugs, and eating at the wrong time, vikala bhojana, basic ethical pillars.
Okay. And getting permission to even start this training wasn't just casual.
Not at all. There was a formal process, the sikasamudi. The trainee had to formally request permission from the Sangha, the community of nuns, 3 times kneeling, palms joined.
And the Sangha deliberates.
Yes, and silence means consent. It's a formal community act.
And this training requirement wasn't just for the Sikamanas.
No, Rule 66 applies the exact same 2-year training requirement in those 6 rules to a Gihigata, a former laywoman who was already 12 or older.
So whether you were formerly a trainee or coming straight from lay life but met the age requirement, you needed that 2-year grounding.
Precisely. It underscores this deep commitment to proper education, ethical grounding before full ordination. It's about building a solid base.
Makes sense. But just finishing the training wasn't enough, was it?
Correct. That brings us to the next hurdle, formal Sangha approval for the full ordination itself. Pācittiya 64 addresses this.
What happened there?
You had trainees who had completed the 2 years, but they didn't get the formal go-ahead from the Sangha for full ordination, the Vutanasamuti.
And they just started acting like full nuns anyway.
Seems so. Claiming the status without the final approval, which obviously caused confusion and undermined the whole process.
So another formal procedure was needed.
Yes, very similar to the training permission. A formal request, deliberation by the Sangha, and a formal motion and declaration, the nyati. Community consent was vital.
And again, this applied to the former lay women too.
Yes, Pācittiya 67 makes it clear. A former laywoman over 12, even after her 2 years of training, still needed this explicit Sangha approval for full ordination.
This is where it gets really interesting for me. It's not just about individual learning or commitment.
No, it's about community. Formal communal acknowledgement was non-negotiable. It conferred legitimacy and maintained order. Everyone had to be recognized by the group.
A very structured approach. Okay, so we've guarded the gate. What happens after someone is successfully ordained? The responsibilities don't end there, do they?
Absolutely not. That leads us perfectly into our next section, the bonds of community, post-ordination responsibilities.
So the idea is, it's not enough just to let someone in.
Right. The community, and especially the senior nuns, the teachers, the mentors, had ongoing duties to the new members, ensuring their well-being, their continued learning.
It was an active commitment. What's the first specific responsibility we see?
Mentorship and support for the disciple, the Gabbhinī, or fellow resident. Pācittiya 68 highlights this.
And there's a specific example again.
Yes, a nun named Thulananda comes up again. She ordained a disciple, but then essentially neglected her, failed to support or instruct her for 2 whole years.
2 years. And the consequence for the disciple?
Left foolish and ignorant, just like the untrained ones earlier. Didn't know how to conduct herself properly within the monastic discipline.
What did support actually mean in this context? What was expected?
It was quite hands-on, personally instructing the disciple through teaching the kisina, questioning pariyapachaya, advising ovadena, and general guidance on usasanya.
So, real mentorship. What if the main teacher, the preceptress, couldn't do it?
Then she had the responsibility to find another suitable nun to take over that teaching role. You couldn't just leave the new nun adrift.
And neglecting this 2-year support period?
A Pācittiya offense for the preceptress.
Were there exceptions? Life happens, right?
Yes, practical exceptions were included. Unavoidable obstacles, genuinely being unable to find another suitable nun to help, the preceptress's own illness, or situations of danger.
This really emphasizes the active role of the mentor, doesn't it? It's a long-term commitment to ensure the student actually integrates the teachings.
A very profound view of education and responsibility lasting 2 full years post-ordination.
And was this responsibility only one way, from teacher to student?
Interestingly, no. Pācittiya 69 shows the reciprocal nature. It deals with attending to the preceptress.
Ah, so the newly ordained nun had duties towards her teacher too.
Exactly. The scenario is bhikkhunis who, after ordination, failed to attend to or support their pavatini, their preceptress or upaja, for 2 years.
Same time frame, 2 years. And the consequence.
Also a Pācittiya offense for the disciple.
Were there similar exceptions?
Yes, if the preceptress herself was, say, foolish or shameless, basically, not upholding her own side, or, again, in cases of illness or danger affecting either party.
So it really highlights mutual responsibility, a two-way street within that hierarchy.
Precisely. It paints a picture in a deeply interconnected community where support flowed in both directions, respect and care were expected from both sides.
Okay, so mentorship, mutual support. What's the third area of post-ordination responsibility?
This one, Pācittiya 70, is about ensuring safety and, well, proper placement. It's quite stark.
Still an undead again?
Yes, seems she was involved in a few cases. Here, after ordaining a disciple, a Sahajavini, she failed to arrange for her to go away or be sent away Vupaksaya for a significant distance. The text says at least 5 or 6 leagues.
Why was sending her away necessary? And what happened because she wasn't sent away?
The text gives a grim outcome. The disciple was taken by a man using the term samiko agahesi. This implies abduction or some form of inappropriate involvement. Sending her away, perhaps to a more established or safer nunnery, was likely a protective measure.
Goodness. So failing to ensure this safe relocation.
Resulted in a Pācittiya for Thulananda, the preceptress who failed to make the arrangements.
And the usual exceptions applied.
Yes, obstacles, not being able to find another nun to accompany the disciple, suggesting safety in numbers, illness, or danger.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really highlights how vital protecting the nuns was. Their physical safety, the community's reputation.
Absolutely paramount, especially given the social context of the time. It shows a deep, practical concern for safeguarding members from harm and maintaining the integrity of the Sangha.
Wow. When you lay it all out like that, the level of detail, the practical wisdom in these ancient rules, it's kind of astonishing.
It really is, from regulating who could even walk through the door based on very concrete factors,
To defining these really specific long-term duties for mentorship, mutual support, and even physical safety.
These Pācittiya rules weren't just abstract ideals. They formed a living, breathing framework for the Bhikkhunī Sangha. They were designed to make the community work, day to day.
They had to handle real-world situations, real people. And these rules reveal such a sophisticated understanding of human nature, community dynamics, public relations even.
And what's maybe most remarkable is how, thousands of years later, you can still see the relevance, these underlying principles.
Yeah, like the importance of clear standards for joining, the need for genuine mutual support, the value of dedicated mentorship, protecting vulnerable members. These are universal aspects of building any strong community, aren't they?
Totally timeless. Which brings us to that final thought to leave you with.
Right. When you look at these ancient monastic regulations, designed for such a specific spiritual purpose,
Yeah.
how do they illuminate the challenges that any community or institution faces even today?
What lessons might modern organizations, whether they're businesses, nonprofits, social groups, whatever, draw from a code this detailed, particularly when thinking about that constant tension, that balance between individual freedom and autonomy and the well-being and cohesion of the collective?
It's a fascinating question to ponder. How do you create structure that supports rather than stifles both the individual and the group? These ancient nuns were clearly grappling with that very question.